Next, we have Specification 2. Specification 2 states, name the diseases and describe the symptoms resulting from deficiencies of vitamin C, which causes scurvy, vitamin D, which causes rickets, calcium, also linked with rickets, and iron, which leads to anemia. And for that, first let's look at these diagrams. Diagram 1 shows the stages of deficiency. You can see symptoms moving from tiredness and gum bleeding to anemia and eventually high fever. These are linked to scurvy and severe anemia. Diagram 2 compares a normal skeleton with one affected by rickets, showing how vitamin D and calcium deficiency weaken bone growth. And in diagram 3, we see normal blood cells compared with anemic ones, making it clear how iron deficiency reduces both the number and quality of red blood cells. First, let's talk about scurvy. Scurvy happens when the body doesn't get enough vitamin C, usually if someone has a poor diet for more than 3 months. The symptoms can be quite severe. People may develop anemia, feel extremely exhausted, experience spontaneous bleeding, pain in the limbs, swelling, gum problems like ulcerations, and even tooth loss. Fortunately, scurvy is treatable. Giving vitamin C, either by mouth or through an IV, reverses the condition. Historically, it was very common among sailors between the 15th and 18th centuries, because long sea voyages meant no access to fresh fruits or vegetables. So, if you look at the diagram here, you'll see scurvy shown in 4 stages. Stage 1 is lethargy and fatigue. Stage 2 is bleeding gums. Stage 3 is anemia, and Stage 4 is high fever. This shows clearly how the disease worsens over time if left untreated. Now let's move on to rickets. Rickets is a disease caused by a severe deficiency of vitamin D or calcium in the diet. The main symptoms are bone pain, stunted growth, and soft, weak bones, which can eventually lead to deformities. It's important to remember that vitamin D helps the body absorb calcium, and calcium itself is a key building block of bones and teeth. Without enough of both, proper bone development cannot take place. Vitamin D mainly comes from sunlight exposure, but it can also be obtained from certain foods, such as fish, eggs, and butter. Treatment for rickets usually involves improving the diet with calcium and vitamin D-rich foods, or prescribing vitamin D supplements. If you look at the diagram, it shows the key features of rickets, the symptoms we just discussed, the link between vitamin D and calcium absorption, food sources of vitamin D, and treatments. The images also clearly show skeletal changes and leg deformities that occur in people affected by this condition. Finally, next, let's look at anemia. Anemia is caused by a deficiency of iron in the diet. Iron is essential because it forms part of hemoglobin, the protein in red blood cells that carries oxygen to all the cells and tissues in the body. When there isn't enough iron, the number of red blood cells decreases. This leads to reduced oxygen transport, which can cause pale skin, fatigue, and exhaustion. If you look at the diagram, you can clearly see the difference. On one side, we have a normal red blood cell count. On the other, an anemic blood sample, where the red blood cells are far fewer in number. This simple comparison highlights how iron deficiency directly affects blood quality and oxygen delivery.